The creator is called Brahma, the four-faced. You will find in the form of this figure in Alice Bailey's books. And the destroyer is called Shiva. The protector is called Vishnu, as represented by the cross and the square within a circle. So, this is the creative faculty, this is the preserving faculty, this is the destroying faculty. Three producing three properties of creation. The property of this is called dynamism, and the property of destruction is called inertia, and the property of preservation is called poise. In the scriptures, the first one is called rajas, that is the creative faculty or dynamism, and the second one, inertia, is called tamas. The third one is called sattva. These three are said to be the three heads of the one Lord beyond time, and as subordinate officers to this Lord, there are 7 judges who are working, represented by the remaining 7 dots. They are called the lawmakers, each having his own period. So there are 7 such periods, one after the other, which represent the 7 manus. The word manu indicates a prototype of the human being on this earth. The human being of each manvantara is different from the human being of another manvantara. For example, previously there was one of the previous manus called the Chakshusha Manu, meaning the Manu of the third eye. During that period, the human beings on this earth were having a third eye, which afterwards was suppressed by nature because of the misuse. And in this present Manvantara, it exists in us only as a remnant on the physical plane, which we call the pineal gland, the functions of which are stopped before we are 7 years of age. And if we know the method of keeping that gland active throughout our life, you can automatically see through time and space with that eye, just as the human beings of that Manvantara could see normally. So each Manvantara has its own characteristic humanity, and there are also 7 more manus. Sorry, you should multiply it by 2, because there are 14 manus in all. And when all the 14 manus finish their periods, on this earth we have a bigger period, which when you calculate comes to the same numbers, but with more number of digits. This is called the day of one creation. It is also called the day of the creator. This is one bigger cycle, and 30 such days make 1 month of the creator. 12 such months, they make 1 year of the creator, and 100 such years make one span of a creator. When this solar system goes into disappear, again into the previous stages, the other day I described, it goes into disappearance. Again, once again it comes into appearance. It continues for one span of Brahma, again it goes into disappearance. Like this it does 7 times and then goes into total disappearance. You will find all these things in the book called The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. And these 7 lawmakers who are working out the prototypes or the molds of humanity on this earth, they are for the present working through the 7 stars of the Great Bear, who impart their spiritual influence to the sun of our solar system in the form of the 7 rays of wisdom. And our sun distributes it to the planets and to this earth planet also. So we receive his rays in the form of the 7 colors of the spectrum. And the living beings on this earth consequently belong to 7 different races. And the human beings on this earth also are of 7 types. And we all of us belong to one of the 7 types called the 7 rays. And there are sub-rays in each ray, and the details of which you can find in the series of the books The Rays and Initiations by Alice A. Bailey. And we find this figure, this commentary, and the number, the sacred decade, and its application given by Pythagoras, exactly tallying with the wisdom of the scriptures. And it is given by Buddha also to his disciples under the name Manipadma, and its secrets are imparted to 10 of his disciples. Each disciple symbolically represented 1 dot. And in the scriptures, this figure is called the Lord of the Yogic Wisdom. His name is given as Dattatreya. He is called Lord Dattatreya, described as a youth, a young man, walking naked in the forest. And on his neck there are 3 heads on 3 sides. And with him there are 4 dogs walking. And he has a begging bowl in his hand. And with that he goes begging from house to house. This is the symbolic representation of the Lord of Yoga. Of course, it has a profound symbolism, each of which should be explained separately. He is described as the son of a great seer, Atri, esoterically meaning A and 3. That means not 3. That is, one person manifest in 3 functions. And his mother and the wife of Atri is described esoterically as the world mother in the name of Anasuya. The word Anasuya means a lady untouched by jealousy and malice. He is described as the son of that lady. It is to say that your mind should be untouched by jealousy and malice if you want to have this yogic wisdom realized. So this figure is given in the scriptures under the name Dattatreya. You will find a picture representation of the Lord also in some of the traditional houses of India. For example, in the house of our Kumar, we have a life-size picture of Lord Dattatreya. This is some more thing about Pythagoras' teachings. Thank you. About the keyboard of nature given by Pythagoras, we have almost say cleared off the main points, and of course about his teaching of numbers, his teaching of sounds, and his teaching of figures or geometry. Each subject takes not less than 3 years to teach, and his explanation of the archetypal nature of numbers and his definition of numbers is really astounding. And except the scriptures, there is no philosopher in the history of the earth or a mathematician including the modern mathematicians, who have given the definition of numbers and figures with such precision and scientific depth as Pythagoras has done. Yesterday we have seen the scientific nature of his definitions, how numbers exist as properties of space, how they germinate the solar systems and universes, and how they germinate the atoms, and how they work out the functions in nature, and how they are among the intelligences of nature, whom the scriptures call the devas and angels and archangels. So nowhere except in scriptures we find the definitions given by Pythagoras. And if we compare Pythagoras with other philosophers, for example Aristotle or Socrates, we will find the difference between a philosopher and a seer. We can a little bit imagine how the compilers of the scriptures lived and what was their nature and approach by studying Pythagoras. He is the only historical specimen left to us who can give us an example of how the authors of the scriptures lived, and his theory of number is verified only in the scriptures, and his reasoning about numbers and why he called numbers as the reason of gods, why he called arithmetic as the logic of gods, can be understood by the examples given by him, and the same examples given in the scriptures. I will once again stress upon the aspect of number consciousness which was given by Pythagoras and which was spoken of in the scriptures. I think they are there. The fact that there is a deva for number consciousness is proved by the functioning of numbers in the embryo. For example, the 2 hands, 2 legs, the 2 lungs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, the 32 teeth, and the same type of phenomenon in plants and animals. That is to preserve the consistency of the frame of every species. It is the numbers that function as the intelligences of nature or devas, and also the structure of the atom of every substance differs from that of another, mainly in the numerical nature, and the consistency, numerical consistency of the structure of any atom, for example its place in the periodicity table, all these things prove that nature's numbers are self-conscious and they pre-exist the atomic creation also, and they exist as properties of space, and they construct the structure of the atom and they go on functioning until they complete the structure of the solar system with the planetary functionings and the various atoms of the various planetary matter. This is what Pythagoras said when he spoke that numbers exist in space as properties of space, and they exist dormantly, and when a universe is created they begin to operate openly, and exactly the same thing is expressed in the scriptures. For example, the mantras of the Vedas, the Purusha Suktam we have seen in Geneva, what it expresses. These devas, they exist as dharmas, that is properties, and for example properties of space, time, matter and mind. They pre-exist everything, and everything is created by them and comes into existence, and their functioning is the instrumentality of the externalization of the creation. And when the whole creation was in dissolution, these devas exist in a potential state, and when the creation is complete, they exist in a manifest state. Two terms were used in the scriptures. They used the word sadhya and siddha. The devas exist in two states, sadhyas and siddhas. That is, in the potential state before the creation is there, and in the manifest state when the creation has come out. For example, a commentary of this verse in Rigveda says that the sugar is sweet when sugar is manufactured, and salt is saltish when it is manufactured. But when there was no sugar or salt, and when there was no human being to manufacture sugar, even then the facts exist eternally, that the property of sugar is sweetness and property of salt is saltish, and these properties are called eternal, whereas their manifestation is periodic. This is what the commentaries of the archaic stanzas give us. Wonderfully, you will find exactly the same teaching in Pythagoras when he speaks of the numbers. And in the scriptures, a deva is described. Yesterday I told you by name Kapila, who presides over numbers and develops the embryo in terms of the consistency of numbers. And after the child is produced, after the frame of the body is complete, and then this fellow exists with the person in the frame, functioning numbers and giving him the knowledge of numbers. And with his help, the living beings can know things in terms of numbers. And all the mathematical functionings are made by the human mind with the help or initiation of this deva. Another example is, there is what is called shape consciousness, and there is a deva who presides over the function of shape consciousness in the embryo, and he keeps the recollection of the frame of the parent and produces the child according to the same species, so that there may not be a dog as the child of a human fellow or a pig to a dog. So there is an intelligence governing the shape consciousness in the embryo, and he is called in the scriptures Vishwakarma. In the ancient ritualistic schools, he was called the great architect of the universe. And the number consciousness, the Deva of the number consciousness was called the grand geometrician of the universe. These terms are repeated in Freemasonry and other ritualistic schools, like mockery and mad pupil, without knowing what it is. But Pythagoras established a ritualistic temple to teach his students all this. And in course of time he found that some students wanted these things, whereas others did not want. And though they lived for years with him, they lived only for the glamour of learning instead of the taste for learning. So he had a grouping of his disciples in course of time. One group had the glamour of learning things. They could not go into the depths of the teaching, and in course of time they used to avoid the classes. Even though they attended, they were physically present and mentally absent because they could not stand the strain of the teaching. Whereas there are another group who wanted them, who developed them. And he said that there are two types of students. The one type like stones, another type the gemstones. That is how he compared. And he compared the teaching of a master with sunlight. He said that the stones receive sunlight and the gemstones also receive sunlight. The stones receive and stop. Gemstones receive and reflect. That is, they give it again to the world. That is how he compared. It is wonderful that one of the ancient poets in Sanskrit used the same simile with 3 instead of 2 examples. He said, take a gemstone, well polished on its corners. Take a stone and take a ball of clay. Expose the 3 to sunlight. You will find the difference of receiving the sunlight. The clay is pleased to be visible in the sunlight. The stone is more pleased not only to be visible but also to show some shining, which we can call the glamour of learning. Whereas the gemstone receives the pure white ray and gives its analysis into the 7 colors and decorates the world with a beautiful spectrum. So there are 3 types of disciples according to that Sanskrit poet whose name is Bhavabhuti. So we have many stunning similarities between Pythagoras and the classical poets. And sometimes Pythagoras has shown some experiments which we generally call miracles. And he said there is no miracle in the world. His definition of miracle was the fool. What is an unknown fact of nature is called miracle by the fool. That is his definition of a miracle. And there were some fishermen catching fish, and they asked them what were they doing. All of them have thrown a big net in the sea and waiting on the shore. And he said, there will be so many types of fishes in your net. And he has given the details of the number of each type of fish that will be there in the net. And he waited there. After they found It was astoundingly correct. And then he said, place the net with the fish in the sea and tell me the cost of the fish. He paid the cost and asked them to return the fish to the... That was one of the peculiar incidents of his life. And he was a past master in medicine also. He made many miracle cures, and he claimed that they were cures by herbs. While he was touring, he used to have a bag with him which contained some herbs